Let's take a look to see how green flashes work. The first thing you need to understand is the Earth has an atmosphere. That's really important. And the Earth's atmosphere is actually thicker as you get closer to the surface. This is because gravity pulls the particles down, so they're kind of crammed in near the surface. And as you get higher towards space, there's less particles and it's less dense. Now, light has a special property called refraction, where when it changes from a less dense to a more dense medium at an angle, it bends towards the more dense medium. Now, this is what happens in the atmosphere. Now, the light from the sun comes, and as it goes through space, it's going really fast. As it goes into the atmosphere, it slows down and it refracts and it bends towards the surface of the Earth. So the light that hits us from the sun isn't coming straight at us, it actually bends down a bit. That's pretty important. Now, the next thing to understand how the green flash works is that all the different colors of light that make up the white light in the sun don't bend the same amount. They don't bend that differently, but they bend a little bit differently. Now again, white light that you see from the sun is a combination of a variety of wavelengths that we give names of blue, green, orange, etc. to. So what happens is the red light doesn't bend very much. It pretty much bends a little bit down towards us. The orange bends a bit more, the yellow bends a bit more, green bends quite a bit more, and the blue bends the most. Blue bends the best. So what happens is, to see the blue light, you actually have to look quite a bit higher in the sky than you do to see the red light. So the sun actually, in a perfect world, if it were a point, you wouldn't see just one point of the sun. You'd see a little kind of rainbow line with green at the top, and then yellow and red and towards the bottom. Now I just mentioned that I didn't say blue on top because blue bends best. Why didn't you see blue on top? And that's because the blue light scatters in the atmosphere. That's why we have a blue sky. So the blue light you're not going to see as much of because it's scattered away. Now, the sun isn't just a dot, it's actually a big disk. And those disks will overlap quite a bit. So there's the green light will form a disk which is the highest, and then the yellow and the orange and the red will form disks that are kind of superimposed on each other, and most of those disks will completely overlap. So you see white light for the bulk of the sun. However, the green rim, there will be a little green rim on the top of the disk of the sun and a little red rim on the bottom of the sun. That's caused by the light that bent the most, which is the green. Remember, the blue bent the most, but it's scattered away. So the green is actually the most bent one that you're going to see on the disk. And at the bottom, there's the red light, which bent the least, so it's kind of forming a little rim on the bottom. Now you can see where we're going with this. This is getting closer to how the green flash works. As the sun sets, it's got the little green ridge on the top and a little blue rim on the bottom. Sorry, did I say blue? Red rim on the bottom. As it sets, pretty soon the disk is going to go away and you're only going to see the green. You say, wow, I figured it out. Unfortunately, that's not the whole picture because that little thin green rim is very, very, very thin and almost imperceptible. So that doesn't really account for the green flash. What happens is we have a situation here in the Cayman Islands where we have sea around us, and the sea is generally quite warm. And if you've got still air, remember I was saying that the air is thinnest on top, and as you go down, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, more and more dense. But because the sea is warm, you wind up with a very thin layer of warm air above the sea. And I'm depicting that with this kind of pink light here. And warm air is actually less dense than cold air. So again, it's going from less dense to more dense just above that warm layer, and then it gets less dense again. So remember, light bends towards more dense materials. So you wind up in a situation where light's coming from the horizon, it'll bend down through the denser and denser air towards you. But if it's coming really low, it'll go into that less dense air in the warm air, and it'll come back up at you. This is how mirages work. But as you can see in this diagram, this guy's looking at the sun, and he can see the sun if he looks kind of upish or downish. Basically, anywhere near the horizon, anything along the horizon, he'll see the sun. So basically, near the horizon is kind of vertically magnified. Now that's important. Now often when you see a sunset going down, you'll see the sun goes down, and then it kind of gets blocky, and it kind of pours into the horizon. And what's happening is, just near the horizon, it's vertically magnified because of this mirage effect, because the heat layer is causing it to kind of bend back up at you. And this actually allows the situation where when the green rim comes down, it's magnified vertically so you can see it for an appreciable amount of time, and it looks pretty awesome, and that's the green flash.